Welcome to Solo Progression, the series where I play through Dungeon Defenders 1 Redux with the goal of beating the crystalline dimension on the hardest difficulty, as well as completing all the achievements. Hey everyone, welcome back to Dungeon Defenders 1 Redux Solo Progression. Hopefully you enjoyed the last couple episodes. In this episode, we're going to try to be tackling on Arcane Library on Easy Hardcore. Now this is a pretty cool map from Dungeon Defenders Eternity that moved over to this game once Eternity stopped getting support. This map is pretty interesting. I actually do like it a lot. I think the setup is really nice. You get a little bit extra mana than the easy maps, or I should say the Act 1 maps. But this map has kind of an issue in the fact that there is a bit of stalling between the rounds, and it's not really the fault of the map, but more so my tower is not lacking the range, I should say. Also because the waves start a lot later. We start on wave 5 rather than wave 2 or 3 compared to the easy maps, or the Act 1 maps. Keep on the easy maps now. It's not that they're easy. It makes this round go a lot longer and actually end up being sort of a dud for this one because it's just taking too long. And part of the issue with that is that Eternity added new mobs to fight, and one of the ones that was added on this one was the Harbinger. And the Harbingers kind of just sit out of range of my towers. You'll see here in a little bit, I die and basically I'm just waiting for the Harbinger to die, which takes quite a while. It's like 2 to 3 minutes of me just waiting, which this is sped up at 4 times speed. And you'll see there's still like a minute of waiting in this video of me waiting for this Harbinger to die. And it's sort of a problem because I can't really deal with him right now. My archers don't reach him. My electrical has hit him, of course, but it's not doing enough. So I'm over here waiting, and I'm like, you know what? At some point I'm going through this, and it's just not worth the effort at the moment. So I ended up ending this run, but you can see how my setup is like. This is what my setup would be like if I had the range and stuff to actually do this level, where I'm setting up archers at each one of these little choke points here, putting a little physical tower, or physical beam I should say, and then having fireball towers at each lane if I can. I was running super low on DU this one because another issue I'm having too is that my auras are on the smaller side. At least they're kind of big right now, but they could be a lot larger, and when that happens, I'll be able to use less auras, but bigger auras, and then make that so I just save basically 13 DU because I'm using the Ensnare aura, which is 3, the Electric aura, which is 5, and the Strength Drain aura, which is 5, I believe, which is 13 altogether, which adds up very fast. If you're doing 5 of those, it's already most of your DU used on just auras. But anyways, this was a dud. We went over to try a couple different maps on this one. This is an episode you'll see that I'm testing a lot of different things. For the most part, I was like, oh, I want to do Arcane Library because I enjoy this map. I do enjoy throwing stuff on hard difficulties on my other characters, but I want to see if I can do it on easy, which the loot wasn't very good either. So I was like, this is kind of just a waste of time right now. So instead of doing that, I decided to look over some of the other missions we can do. So I went over to some of the challenges, and then you'll see on the screen that I'm kind of just going through all the challenges. The challenge is really nice because the challenges can offer you pets, I believe. I think some of them offer you pets. I might be wrong on that. But most of them offer you weapons or some sort of armor or just something useful for your account or your characters. And Overcrush, I believe, offers weapons, which my weapons are kind of lacking right now because I haven't done any of the... I haven't done the Demon Lord boss fight on Alchemical Laboratory, nor any of the other boss fights. So I decided to do Ogre Crush because I believe it can give you a good weapon. And that does not go very good. Actually, it's essentially just way too slow, is my issue right now. My monk does not do enough damage. It's not built for do damage. And then my towers just don't do enough damage either. So basically I'd be stalling these ogres out pretty much the entire time, which I guess I could do, but it just isn't worth it. Because I'll be running back and forth trying to kill these ogres super slow. And even if I were to get good weapons, I probably wouldn't be able to use them because I'd probably get godly tier ones. I'm not even level 60 yet. So my main focus right now is getting to level 60 and then eventually level 70. And I think the best way to do that is actually going back and doing the entire campaign on Insane Hardcore. And since we already done Foundry and Forges, it kind of goes without saying that we can do the Deeper Well on Insane. So instead of doing Deeper Well on Insane or Foundries again, we go right to Magus Citadel, which is our next map in the campaign. And we're going to try to do the rest of Act 1 in the rest of this video. But before I'm back to the campaign, I wanted to check out Dread Dungeon one more time, and this time on Insane Hardcore. I wanted to get a feel for it, see if it was even possible. Getting through the first round wasn't too bad. The time restraint on this one, since it's I guess a newer map compared to the original Act 1 ones, is very lenient. You get about 3-4 minutes compared to 90 seconds compared to the entirety of Insane Hardcore campaign on just the regular campaign. So I tried that. Didn't work out too well. The Insane mode on Dread Dungeon ramps up incredibly hard compared to the normal game. And I was able to do the first round. The first round's not too bad. I basically put down physical beams everywhere and then just put down auras wherever I could while I had the time as a monk. But the issue with all this is that it's not wave 1 that's the issue, it's wave 2. Wave 2 has the Dark Warriors. I might call the Dark Warriors ninjas. I've always called them that when I was younger, so it kind of stuck in my head that they all the ninjas. But those guys will shred you, especially if you don't have any defenses or any resistances, I should say, and actually having the DPS to take care of them. But the main issue is these ogres. So there is a cheese you could do. You can't do it on the one where, I don't know if it's showing in the video, but where my ogre spawns, he spawns on the bottom, and you can't do the cheese there. But on the both 2 lanes on the top, you can actually place the physical beams from basically where that lane starts. There is the little like pillar where I guess the torch is or something. You can place the physical beam from there to the other one, and the ogre won't know what to do, and it won't actually attack, which makes it so you can get through this level. Unless it goes to the bottom, then you kind of have a problem. But I was like, yep, not worth it. So ended up going back to Magus Citadel after this, and then we started doing the rest of Campaign 1, Act 1 on Campaign. So now we're back onto Magus Citadel, back on track. We haven't really done much this episode yet, but that's okay. We'll get there. Yep, back on Magus Citadel. What I end up opting to do instead of putting down physical beams to this level is I put down archers on each of the lanes, and I put 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and 1 in the middle, and just play as Leon and get my auras up as I can. This probably isn't the best idea, because if you have just the physical beams on each of the lanes, and you can kind of leave one by itself and just leave one enemy there, you can kind of buy yourself more time on Insane Mode, which I use more later in the run, but right now I'm kind of just more focused on just getting things done and getting the levels done. So that does take a while, but these levels are easy enough where it doesn't matter too much. You have to be careful of wyverns on this map. This is when they first introduce them, so you'll notice throughout the video I'm placing archers kind of like in a line between on the line between each lane, the diagonal there. This is because it blocks off where the wyvern's going. And then each lane, of course, has the strength drain auras, the electric auras, the standard auras, as well as I eventually get firebolt towers for I believe most of them, and physical beams, and just add archers and whatever minions I need to do for the most part, because those are just what I'm using at the moment, and they are strong. So no reason not to use them. Again, I am trying to... You'll see how I pull up multiple characters. I probably should have mentioned this a little before. There's a button to add multiple characters at once. This is so I can just get XP on all the characters and not have to just continuously grind one character at a time, which would just take way too long. And that's one of the things that's built in with Redux, which is really handy, is that you can press your F keys. I believe F3, F4, F5 will start your second player, third player, fourth player. And then go F2 to move back to your first. And you'll see in a couple of these episodes, I will be switching between one character and another character, so you'll see all 4 screens at once, and I'll be playing as someone else or playing on a different screen than I normally do. And this is just because sometimes I won't be able to go back to the keep, or I don't know, is it called keep? I don't know what it's called. The thing where you swap out your heroes. I'll be going back to that, and I won't be able to get back to it in time, so I'll just swap out Leon, put him on somewhere, and just so I can play as him. Because if I'm not playing as Leon, I have to really rely on my defense to do everything, and at the moment, having the defenses rely on the ogre themselves is a bit too much. My defenses they can handle it if they are placed correctly, but they're not always placed correctly, where sometimes they'll get hit when the ogre attacks a physical beam, which happens to me a lot because I'm so used to not having the barriers or blockades in the first place. But the blockades help out a ton on these lower level insane hardcore runs, because defense health skill is really good at the start, and physical beams have a ton of health. So using that to our advantage, we can really stall the lanes, stall out the enemies that come to those lanes, and then, we don't have to really worry about our blockades going down unless there's a ton of enemies there. But generally, we'll have things to clean up the weaker enemies, and we really don't have to deal with the ogres. But yep, so we'll see here that we're getting close to the end of Magus Citadel. I think in the future, for some of these episodes, I'm going to skip kind of like the middle part, and basically get once into my build's done to probably the last wave is what I'm going to show. Otherwise, we'll be kind of just watching very simple gameplay at the moment, and we can focus more on the progression of these characters. So yeah, that's Magus Citadel. I don't think we got anything too handy from it. I think I took a little break here at the end of the session, because I think I was playing for like an hour and a half at this point, which isn't too much, but I was getting kind of frustrated. I couldn't do any of the other levels besides Magus Citadel, which is easier. So we'll get here now. We're going to go over a little bit of a stat check. So right now, Leon the Monk is becoming a bit more hybrid, but I have most of his upgrades and gear at least focusing on his towers, or his tower stats, I should say. except for his weapons. And his weapons, I am leveling the weapon damage just because I need him to do some sort of damage, and the weapon damage skills pretty good at the start of the game for your heroes, so that's what the main focus is for him. Kill the Summoner has the highest tower damage at the moment, and more focus on gear than other characters. So he's getting a little attention, or probably more attention than the other characters, because I like the Summoner class a lot. Death Series V has a lot of tower health now, and you're really noticing that in our blockades, so our blockades are basically can block anything, which is pretty great. At least for insane mode, it's going to be useful for the rest of the campaign. Because of this, we're going to start focusing our stats in other skills, and so most likely tower damage, tower defense rate, and then the shock beam rate, or I forget what it's called. But that increases range on the buff beam towers, and this is all for buff beams down the line. So obviously Princess has the lowest stats at the moment, and I haven't really been focusing on them, but I'm going to start focusing on them because I really enjoy the towers of the Princess a lot. And I just want to increase the stats because Firebolt towers are just really useful, and same with the Deadly Strike towers. Alright, now we're here at the Alchemical Laboratory on Insane Hardcore. So this is our first map that actually has a boss at the end of it, so we have to keep that in mind while we are setting up our defenses, is to make sure we'll be able to deal with the boss and have defenses that are strictly for doing boss damage or just helping out with the boss, such as healing auras, having mages, having just archers around the boss just so they are always doing damage. I also got a pet as well. You're probably seeing that here. I thought it would be useful for the boss, and I believe it helped a little bit. It doesn't have enough upgrades into it yet, but you'll see I have it on Leon, because Leon's who I'm going to use for the boss, because it's really good tower boost and hero boost, and that's just super useful because when you're using hero boost and you're fighting bosses at low levels, it heals you while you're fighting. Top of the healing aura gets you a lot of health back. So anyways, I start off this round placing physical beams on each lane. At each choke point there, I'm placing archers, Firebolt towers, along with shrink drain auras, electric auras, and ensnare auras. This is one of the maps I was mentioning earlier that you can have, if you have enough range on your auras, instead of placing 4 different sets, you can place 2 different sets, which would save you 26 DU, which is really useful when you're trying to do harder difficulties, or not just harder difficulties, but doing survival mode. So you have more DU to play with. Other towers are kind of better at just doing things. So the auras are good at killing the little mobs, but that usually is not what kills you, it's what the ogres and such do. But there's no ogres that spawn on this map, at least on campaign mode, so we don't have to worry about that. And you'll notice throughout the video here that I am upgrading the healing aura and the mages. This is because just having a higher healing is just going to make this fight a lot easier. And the issue if I die is that since I'm playing hardcore, I will stay dead. And I'm also increasing the health of the Demon Lord by, kind of artificially, by adding more characters. But the idea is that you're playing as all 4 of these characters, but I'm only playing as 1, so I'm really fighting a boss with whatever the multiplier is of 4 characters when I'm only playing as 1 character, which is useful for me in terms of I get more loot, but it makes it more difficult, as in if I die, I'm wasting even more time, and the other characters aren't built to fight this. So that's part of the issue, but I don't have to worry about that too much if I make sure my healing auras are upgraded, my mages are upgraded, and I have decent damage put out throughout the fight. But at the end of wave 7, we'll see that we actually have to fight the Demon Lord. And you'll see here, I haven't got to it. It hasn't got caught up just yet in the video. But you'll notice here, you might have noticed it already, but the textures aren't looking right if you've taken a close look. Actually, you don't have to take a close look. You can tell from far away that the textures look really low res. And I learned that I had a setting wrong that wasn't really even set by me. It was just within some of the config files. Actually, I think it was the UDK engine file. So if you have this problem, go to your local files, find your UDK engine, and there is a couple things you need to change in there. But essentially, it was set on super low resolutions for all the textures. So I increased that up later on, but you won't notice that for the next couple episodes. But that does get fixed at the. It will be fixed by episode 6. The next 2 episodes I've already done, but they also have the quality textures. But you'll see as the Demon Lord should be spawning here any second now. Yep, there he is. And yep, he looks awful. Look at that face. Only a mother could love that. Anyways, this fight takes a ton of time. I have no damage on my monk, which you'll soon become apparent that all my damage is going to be very slow, and I have to play this very cautiously to make sure that the fire that he shoots out is not... what the fire does, it kind of trails after you, so you want to kind of circle it around yourself and just not get caught by it. But it can destroy your defenses incredibly quick, but if you just kind of manage that and just keep it on a circle and attacking these electric beams, or electric pylons, I should say. It triggers a little special attack that stuns the boss. This is perfect for using hero boost and tower boost and just attacking boss as much as I can. And then usually it's like a rinse and repeat. He'll use a fire attack right after, and he's kind of dodge that, make sure he doesn't kill you or your defenses. So for the most part, I'm kind of just running circles around this guy, making sure my auras are staying up, because I believe my auras get super low. A bunch of towers die, which is just because I forgot about the boss mechanics of being able to instantly destroy myself, which didn't really matter, because as long as the auras are fine, you'll be fine on this map. So I'm running around, making sure my aura is okay. And yeah, eventually I follow this pattern, and eventually I do take down the Demon Lung boss, and we get some good loot, a bunch of Gali items, which I can't use at the moment because I'm not level 60, but if I complete the campaign, I should be able to get level 60, if not higher. And yeah, so no stat check at the end of this, but yeah, in the next episode we will be going to Act 2, will be all of Episode 4, and then Episode 5 will be all of Act 3. Originally this video was going to end on Magus Citadel, but it made more sense to include the Demon Lord and just finish out Act 1. So yeah, so there's no stat check, everyone's around level 40, 43, and hopefully you enjoyed. And thanks for watching. See you guys in the next episode where we go over Act 2.